used for export to the ASEAN region. This would give meaning to the point of Mr. Torres that we become a full-time alternate ASEAN production hub for vehicles for the brand principals. Second objective is local production, increased local production of critical major parts to support the competitiveness of these local and export models. Although we have a local manufacturing industry for parts and components, we still lack certain parts and components, critical major parts and components that are not yet produced here. We have to bring those in if we are to have a truly competitive sector. Item 3, expanded unit production. This should not be difficult because we still have excess capacity for assembly and also exports of parts and components. The target is to again go back to supplying about 75% of new vehicle sales from local production. We are saying only 75 as an initial target because we realize that given the open market situation we're in now, the big vehicles, 3 liters and up, these would be the more luxurious models, will continue to be brought in completely built up form from home sources. So we're not targeting, we're not saying the industry should be 100% from local. We recognize that there are certain models that are obviously better, more economically justifiable to be built abroad, but we want the below 3 liter models to be the main focus for local production and export. And lastly, by 2020, we are projecting vehicle export sales, complete vehicle export sales to grow. Right now, there's only 1 or 2 models being exported, completely built from the Philippines, and we're hoping that that will be 4 to 5 models to ASEAN and to other markets nearer in the region. So that is the new objective, from just local focus to local plus international global focus, and making the Philippines a base for production of certain models by the brand principals. Okay, what is the rationale? Oh, why are we saying this? Why don't we just give up? Okay, I think we all often hear this this mentality of importing na lang natin, bakit tayo maghihirap? No? Okay, here are some factors we'd like to stress. No? Number 1, we have a very large latent domestic market. I will explain this further a little in the next charts, but for any industry to think about exports, you've got to have a domestic market base. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in attracting foreigners, foreign investors to base their production here, because our local market has to date been reasonably small, relatively small compared to our ASEAN neighbors. However, we have a very large latent, still latent, but we can tap that with common work with government. Number 2, we have good export potential. The open market of ASEAN really presents itself as an opportunity that we are yet to fully use or adapt to. And still, most of our manufacturers are focused on the local market. And we're saying this automotive program, we will now give equal weight to exporting an eye to exporting to ASEAN as against the local market. Number 3, there are already substantial manufacturing and highly skilled labor force available in the country. These numbers are in the range of 70 to 75,000 depending on the time we took the survey, but it's already there. And it is, again, as I said earlier, a crime if we don't try to use that up. Often we are obsessed with new foreign investments coming in. Right now we have a lot of investments that are underutilized, and if we focus our attention on that, the productivity, the output per peso input will be much more, and we will provide our labor force, both workers and technicians, with work that will in turn expand the economy much faster. Next, and this is a window of opportunity, many of the brand principals have already decided that manufacturing products where you will market that product is an important philosophy that many and almost all are adopting. So right now in ASEAN there are 2 major production hubs, Thailand and Indonesia. we should raise our hand to try to attract these foreign investors, the brand principals, to locate, to make us that third hub. Incidentally, on that one, we're competing with Vietnam. I find you very direct there. And that therefore, Vietnam is also coming up very fast in their industrial development efforts. And so we should not let that opportunity pass. That right now, while the brand principals are looking at possible locations to diversify their production capacities too, we should raise our hand, prepare ourselves, and attract them and convince them to come over to the Philippines, because we have all of these plus factors already in place. Good starting points, good building blocks to develop that industry. Next, we are, as Dr. Aquino said, major GDP contributors, GNP GDP contributors. This has not to be discussed. I think all economies that progress, starting from the US, Japan, Korea, Thailand, all use the automotive industry as the spark plug, if you will, for growing their economies. Because precisely, we are large output and household income multipliers, as again Dr. Aquino stated, and we are a multi-technology recipient. A car uses so many kinds of parts and components and materials that requires different technologies. So we receive that, we use that, and we disseminate it to our parts and components makers and our workers, so that they in turn can use it respectively in expanding their work in different activities. So these are the reasons why we should continue to focus, use the automotive industry to grow our economies. Next, please. Okay, what is the components of this roadmap? Here, we're saying we have attempted to organize the roadmap into some basic macro assumptions, quantify the market base, list the present facilities, identify the capability gaps, and a proposed roadmap with schedules and targets, as well as proposed development support, as we believe would be needed for all of this roadmap to materialize. Next, please. Okay, basic macro assumptions. The projections that we're presenting to you later in the next slides assumes that the growth experienced by the economy, the Philippine economy from 2006 to 2010, of approximately, depending on which economist you talk to, whether it's government or private, between 5 to 6% average over the period 2006 to 2010. We're saying if that same rate between and improved, a bit improved to between 7 to 8% happens between 2011 to 2020, we have prepared projections, production and sales projections for vehicles over that time period, which brings those very large numbers which will allow us to attain scale economies. We're also saying that we are assuming, and I think this will most likely happen, a stable political economy situation from 2011 to 2020, and that the ASEAN common market will happen. This has already happened, so it's really, we're saying only by 2015, the remaining trade facilitation issues that are slowing down the trade will be removed completely by 2015. Okay, here